Good morning. Might not be morning where you are, but it's morning somewhere, and it's morning here right now. Last video, we talked about why house prices are rising like crazy. And I showed you statistically, mathematically, factually, the number one reason. The number of people trying to sell has been decreasing for 5 years straight, while the number of people buying keeps going up. Supply and demand, simple as that. This video, I want to do two things. One, let's talk a little bit about why not enough people are selling, or why fewer and fewer people are selling. What are the underlying reasons? We didn't get into that at all last time. I just showed you that that's the fact. What's driving that fact? And the second thing in this video is I want to look at other notions. No, notions like ideas, N-O-T, yeah, that's it, notions, about why house prices are going crazy. What are some of the other ideas floating around out there? Some of the other notions, some of the theories and conspiracies. And I really want to try and keep the video to a reasonable length, but I do have a lot of notes on this. There are a lot of different ideas out there, so I'll talk fast and we'll try and get through them all. After this. Gonna need some reference material for this one. Like I said, lots to talk about. We're gonna take topic number 2 first, which is other notions about real estate and why prices are going up. Notion number 1. Notion number 1 is Ottawa is growing fast. Ottawa is growing faster than many other places in Canada. Who are we going to go to for some data about whether or not Ottawa is growing faster than other places? Today we're going to use Statistics Canada. Why do I want to go to Statistics Canada today more than CMHC, Moody's, National Bank? I'm naming some specifics. Why? Check this out. Let's take a look at what CMHC said about the housing market in early 2020 after the pandemic was declared and we went through the first part of the shutdown. They said, the housing market will see a historic recession in 2020. With significant declines in all housing indicators. What are housing indicators? Well, prices, number of sales, sales to new listings ratio, all of those indicators, all the ones that you'll find on my website. Were they right? Well, we know they weren't right. They said it would be an historic recession in housing in Canada, and instead we've had one of the biggest booms in a long time. They were about as wrong as you could get. Okay, what about a rating agency like Moody's? Moody's said in May of 2020, so they already had the March, April, maybe some of the May data, and they said housing sales, prices, and starts across Canada will plunge this year and stay muted for at least a year. They did not plunge. Sales did plunge in March, April. They started to climb back in May, climb back more in June. By July, they were ahead of the previous year, and we've been ahead ever since. So yes, there was a temporary plunge in sales, but what they failed to realize is that while fewer people were buying, fewer people were selling in lockstep, and therefore prices didn't get impacted. And once things started to rise again, the number of people buying is greater than the number of people selling, and therefore prices went through the roof. And were they muted the following year? No. 2021 has hit, and they've gone even crazier. So Moody's, totally wrong. What if we were to look at some statistics from one of the banks? I mean, the banks are lending the money to all of the people who are buying all of these houses. They should have some good database of facts to base things on. Well, the National Bank of Canada in June of last year, so they already had the benefit of knowing that things were recovering. Prices hadn't been negatively impacted, and yet, even with that data on the table, they said, the bank is forecasting the largest recession drop for real estate prices in Canada's history. Woo-wee! Okay, so let's go with Statistics Canada today. What do they say about whether or not Ottawa is one of the fastest growing places? Well, they say, given the economic stability of Ottawa and that it has one of the highest population growth rates in the country, house prices will likely continue to rise for the foreseeable future. While it is possible to see a movement out of the city core towards suburbs as work from home becomes a new norm, tight supply will tend to keep prices growing further throughout the region. Interesting. One, that's exactly what has been happening. Prices have been going up. Have people been moving from the city to the suburbs? That is going to be the topic of another video. But to their credit, what does Statistics Canada say? They say that might happen. It's a possibility that that will happen. They're not saying it will happen. And they do have the facts and the data behind population growth, and they say Ottawa is growing faster than other places in Canada, and that we have a lot of economic stability here. So, theory or conspiracy, Ottawa, one of the fastest growing places, comes down on the theory side. Good theory. Notion number 2. It's foreigners. They're coming to get us and take our homes. We know that non-resident foreign buyers purchasing particularly new construction condos in Vancouver and in Toronto has had a significant impact on prices in those cities for the last few years. Both of those cities have instituted foreign buyer taxes to try and disincentivize them a little bit to keep prices a little bit more under control. So, Global News says, in this beautiful headline, Ottawa just replaced Toronto as a foreign buyer magnet, according to RBC. Well, that sounds pretty ominous, doesn't it, for Ottawa? So, the good thing is that this reporter linked to the RBC study that states, and in fact the headline is, foreign buyers now play a larger role in Ottawa than in the GTA. Well, I guess this notion must be a really good theory, right? Well, let's just read on a little bit and look at the graph and then look at the conclusion, which is if there's any movement from the GGH, the Greater Golden Horseshoe, to Ottawa, it was minimal. So the very study that they link to says, yeah, really it's pretty minimal, this migration. It doesn't really look like all the foreign buyers who stopped buying in Toronto came to Ottawa. There was no massive increase in Toronto. There was a very significant no massive increase in Ottawa. There was a very significant decline in Toronto. And yes, in Ottawa, they're saying that 2.5% of the buyers are foreign versus 2.1 a few years ago. Given the margin for error in statistics, to me, those are basically the same number. Whereas in Toronto, if it's gone from over 5% to around 2%, probably it has halved. So that's significant. Theory or conspiracy? I got to put this in the theory bucket. Yes, because there is some data showing that there's a bit of a trend. There are foreign buyers. However, they are not driving the Ottawa market. So it's a theory, but it's a bad theory. Notion number 3. Everybody's moving from the city to the suburbs or rural. People are moving further away from the downtown core because they can now work from home. And many employers are adopting the work from home model as a partial or full-time model going forward, even after we get out of this pandemic that we're in. This is one of my favorite notions because as early as July last year, 2020, started to hear people talking about this. And in fact, CTV News in Ottawa had a piece about this impact. They talked to a local realtor who told them that a couple of neighborhoods, Dunrobin and Greeley, I believe, were the hottest neighborhoods in Ottawa, and that it was because everybody's moving from the city to the country. Now, when you looked at the data, Dunrobin, the number of sales went up 40% and prices went up by some large percentage. I don't remember how much. Wow. So, I mean, clearly it was true. Everybody's moving to the country. And it was similar for Greeley. Until, of course, you actually looked at the numbers and saw that the 40% increase in sales was from 5 sales in July of 2019 to 8 sales in July of 2020. Yes, 3 more houses sold in Dunrobin in 2020 in July than in 2019. 40% increase. Woohoo! Everybody's moving to the country. You have to apply a little bit of critical thinking to these situations. First off, statistically, way too small a number to mean anything. Secondly, even if houses were selling in Dunrobin, where are the people who are selling those houses moving to? And the people who are moving there, if they moved from the city, Did they just walk away from their house and leave it vacant, give the keys to the bank and say, we're done, we can't sell it, we're moving to the country? Somebody probably bought their house, right? And that means they bought a house in the city, right? So houses in the city are still selling, right? Yes, in fact they are. And if you look at the February edition of my newsletter, every February edition of the newsletter, I rank all of the neighborhoods in Ottawa and outlying areas, all of Eastern Ontario. I rank them in two ways. One, by increase or decrease in the percentage of property selling, and the other in terms of the percentage sale price increasing or decreasing. And if you look at the list, you will see a smattering of urban, suburban, and rural neighborhoods throughout the rankings. They're all interspersed. There are urban neighborhoods that have gone up a lot. There are suburban neighborhoods and rural neighborhoods that have gone up a lot. There are other urban, suburban, and rural neighborhoods that have gone down. They're all mixed up. So the data doesn't show anything clear yet about this mass migration from the city to suburban and rural. What would the data look like? I think the data would look like a lot more of the neighborhoods, urban neighborhoods, decreasing in price, and a lot more of the suburban and rural neighborhoods increasing in price. Right now, they're all increasing in price, and I don't see any obvious disparity. So that notion is a conspiracy. Now, that isn't to say that there aren't people who are able and willing to live a little further from work now. There are. I have clients who, in most cases, have said, we can expand the boundaries and look further as well to see if we get more house for the money, because we can afford, we can tolerate being further from work because we don't have to go in every day, this type of thing. But they're not explicitly saying, I absolutely want to move further away. They're just including those options. Now, over time, is it possible there will be some spread out and valuations going up higher in the outskirts and not going up as high in the center of town? It's possible. But at this stage, it's a conspiracy. Notion number 4. It's those pesky realtors. Yes, so it's real estate agents who are making prices go higher. We are pulling the strings of the market, causing people to spend more for properties. We're waving a magic wand over the lenders so that they will lend people more money, or tell them to lend them more money when they won't. But then again, the deals aren't falling through, so I guess they are lending them the money so people can get this money. And it seems like they want to spend the money when there are 35 other people making an offer on the property. So I think the thinking behind the real estate agents are controlling the market and causing people to spend more is that, we may or may not price a property very conservatively, knowing that it's probably worth more, which does tend to inspire a lot more people to make an offer. We do that because it's our responsibility to pay attention to current market conditions and trends and do what is best for our client, the seller, to make sure that they net the highest possible price for the property. That is our job and responsibility under the law. And the system we use is a blind offer system. That is also in the law. So yes, we set things up to try to net the seller the most amount of money. However, can we cause buyers to choose an offer price that is higher than they should or want to spend? How would we do that? Yes, on the other side, we work with the buyer, but our careers probably wouldn't last very long if we were telling the buyer, no, 350, no, you got to spend 425. Well, the bank has approved me for 375. Doesn't matter, you got to spend 425. Well, our personal financial household budget, we really only want to go to 510. No, you got to go to 575. We're going to get a lot of clients if that's the way we deal with them. So no, we don't control the market. In fact, and we don't coerce our buyers to spend more. Yes, the fact that more buyers come to a property does encourage or result in buyers who are making offers on property and losing 10 times in a row, realizing that they have to offer more if they want to get a property. But they're either going to look at properties that are probably going to sell for less, or they're going to push themselves to their maximum, but they're not going to go over their maximum. Who does that? Are you going to spend $10 for a loaf of bread? No. Even if there's only one loaf of bread and a million people, well, okay, get into starvation scenarios, end of world stuff, maybe you would. That's an extreme example. You know what I'm saying. I do find it interesting and telling in the comments in online forums when people raise this notion that real estate agents are causing people, forcing people to spend more and driving the market higher. One, if we could do that, why wouldn't we do it all the time? Because there are plenty of times when the market is soft, not going crazy like that. Why would we let that happen if we can control it? Two, the people who make these comments, who say that real estate agents are like puppet masters controlling the whole market, will often in the dialogue in an online forum later on in the dialogue say, real estate agents don't do anything, don't hire one, they do nothing, they just put a sign on the lawn and cash a big check, they don't do anything. Well, what is it? We control the whole market or we don't do anything? You kind of can't have it both ways. So the idea that it's real estate agents forcing prices higher, controlling prices to go higher, theory or conspiracy? Or what do you think? Conspiracy. And the last notion that I'd like to cover is another one that I saw online in a forum, and it's a new one. I haven't seen this one before. It says that sellers are colluding to control the market. Sellers are the ones who decide what buyers are going to pay for properties. This could not be further reversed from reality. Buyers are the ones who decide what properties go for. If the buyer doesn't put the offer on the table and spend the money, then you ain't getting that much money and the price isn't going to that level. The idea that all of these disparate sellers with a huge variety of property types, property conditions, locations, thousands of them, can all talk to each other and collude and fix prices so that buyers have to spend those prices, and then they will. Kind of an interesting fantasy. So I think you know where it falls. In the last video, we talked about why house prices are rising like crazy. And I'm not done. I said I was going to cover both topics. Now, what do we say are the two most important things, right? I know. Keep it focused. One topic. Exactly. One topic. And how long? 10 minutes. Well, you are going to edit, aren't you? That's what you're here for. Yeah. Of course I'm going to edit it, but you were kind of like rambling on. But I'm not finished. I told them I have two topics. You go on and on and on about every topic. That's fine. You want to give the detail. I understand. Right, but I said I was going to cover the other notions, and I was going to go into the reasons why not as many people are selling in Ottawa. I said I would cover both things. Yeah. So next week, you can talk about that. So when we're talking about working on this together and getting me involved, this was just chit-chat or... Okay, folks, so we're going to cut it there. I've been advised, very wisely I assume, that I should stick to one topic. Even though at the beginning I told you I would have two topics. But you know what? That was a mistake. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to mislead you. Next video, I will talk about the likely reasons or possible reasons that fewer and fewer people have been selling in Ottawa, and also whether or not that's starting to change. And there might be some signs, might not be some signs. We'll take a look at that. I noticed that a lot of you joined after the last video, so that tells me that I'm starting to hit on some topics that interest you, which is good. That is kind of the point. I mean, I'm having fun doing this, but really it's to give you something that you want to listen to and watch. So thank you for that. And if you have not already subscribed and you like this kind of content and you want to hear more about real estate, please subscribe, and I will see you all, those who are already on, those who might be coming on. Thanks again. See you next video. Bye. So, notions can be classed into two categories, I believe: theories, conspiracies.